Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the 505 Podcast. Welcome back to another episode. We have a really fun guest today.
That's not Kostas?
That isn't Kostas. We switched him out for someone that...
say, when did Kostas get so cool looking? You know?
God.
We got
Props to you on that little intro song, man.
Yeah, hey, you know.
Chase made that himself.
Do you like the 505 podcast? Yeah, I did a lot of takes on that. Dude, I had to do a voiceover for an edit, and they're like, just do scratch VO. I'm like, no, we should get like a real voiceover artist. So I was pissed about it, and so I was like, the all-new Hyundai, like just over the top just to piss them off. And they like liked it, which was annoying because I wanted to just make them
And they just gave you a pat on the back, gave you a raise.
Give me a bonus.
That's great.
Unreal.
This guest is someone where we go way back in our friendship to the days of the Ducks. Way more superior school than Wisconsin. Way more superior school than Wisconsin. They beat them actually in a Rose Bowl. So this guest and I go way back to our Oregon days. He is one of the most talented creatives that I personally know.
That's you, man.
He's one of the most talented creatives because he is multifaceted. The man can do the craziest graphics you have ever seen. He can take photos with the best of them. He can even do video if he gets bored, which is terrifying. If he gets bored,
I don't do video.
He'll do it if he gets bored.
You like charitable and stuff too. Dude, you got Jesus.
He literally let me edit video for him one time, and it was insane. So if he gets bored, he does videos.
That's how you know you're sick, if you're letting someone edit for you. You know, like, oh, I'll let you edit this footage.
I take video, but I don't edit video.
There it is.
Word. Smart man.
There it is.
I'm not as
smart man.
He has shot some of the coolest artists I've ever seen. Just to name a few off the top of my head: Lil Nas X, Jack Harlow, Bazzi.
Not how you say his name, but
Bazzi.
Fuck. Oh my god.
Should we just restart the whole thing?
No, let him rock with it.
I'm done.
Wait, really quick. Jack Harlow and like I feel like it's Jack Harlow and Pete Davidson are just like the like Nutella to girls, or just girls just can't get enough of it.
Yep.
Is that you feel that energy when you're with them on like tour? Like,
I mean, their energy is different than any other person I've ever met, but also those fans of theirs are just the craziest people I've ever encountered in my entire life.
Does he get super fucking lit at those shows? I imagine it's like popping right now.
I mean, Jack doesn't drink, so
good for him.
So he stopped drinking about a year ago, I want to say, but he still smokes. He has a great time regardless. I mean, he doesn't need liquor.
Well, dude, that's probably smart. It probably won't burn out so fucking fast like the rest of them. I mean, Logic retired after like 2 years, dude.
Yeah. And his name is Henry Ammann.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, dude.
I was gonna say we've lived here for like 2 years, and this is my first time at the
I know, which is just kind of ridiculous. We both are really busy men. I'm shooting all the time. Henry's traveling around the world. He just got back from a tour. Tell me a little bit about the tour. Where did you go?
So I was on tour for the fall through early winter with a guy named Alexander 23. Shout out to Alexander.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I know the song. The one song. I'm gonna remember.
I don't know you yet.
Yeah.
The big guitar.
I learned it on guitar.
I call it sad boy music.
I sang it to a girl once.
Yeah, good. All right, I hope you would.
Yep.
But then that was through October through like early December. Took a break for a month, and then Jack did his California leg of his tour for 10 days. So we did that mid half of January, and that was super fun. So just fresh off that, and that was super good time.
And now you're back.
Do you get real tired on tour?
When you're in the tour, it's always go.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, you're tired, but like there's always something like you're in a new city every day. It's like it's pushing you to kind of like explore and get out there. At least I know for us types of people, like especially creatives, like we want to go out and like shoot around the city and like experience like the cool parts of it. But some people in the crew just like sleep all day. They go to the hotel and chill, but like that's not my personality.
No,
like,
fuck that.
Yeah, Henry's out and about in the city.
I'm out and about, so it's exhausting. But you kind of just go until you burn out, and then the tour ends, and then you just recover for like a week. And
then you're ready to do it all over again.
It's nice though because you like earn that rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can just lay on my bed and it's totally fine. I love that shit.
Exactly. What was one of the most fun cities that you saw on the tour?
Toronto's my favorite city on every tour.
Really?
Not necessarily the crowd. The craziest crowd in every tour is always Salt Lake City.
No way.
Salt Lake fucking city.
That's opposite of what I you thought you
Mormons get down, baby.
The Mormons get down.
Come on.
No way.
They love a party.
Really?
A nice sober party.
Probably because they can like let loose, dude.
Well, there's not much to do in Salt Lake City.
No.
Yeah, that's super
They can
fair.
ski, but there's not a lot to do after the sun goes down.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bar.
You can night ski. I love a night ski.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is there's not much out to do.
No.
You know?
So they're just going crazy.
They're going crazy.
They're just soaking in the crowd, you know?
Oh my God. That's funny, dude.
Love a good soak.
Yeah, dude. I've been soaked in a minute.
What about Toronto did you like specifically? Because I've never been.
Toronto is the accumulation of all my favorite cities. So New York, LA, San Francisco, Portland. Like there's such a mesh of culture there and art and fashion and music.
All kinds of different
A lot
people.
of my favorite music comes from Toronto, like the Drakes, the Weekends, all those kind of like
Shawn Mendes,
dark,
right? Just saying.
I mean, Biebs is Canada.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
like
super true.
Canada's putting on more than people know.
Yeah,
so,
dude, they really are. I don't know why. The Great White North, dude. They've put Avril Lavigne, dude. Ryan Reynolds. I go all day, dude. I'm from Southern Canada. I'm from Minnesota, which is basically Toronto.
I mean, basically.
Yeah. Just shittier. Anyways.
funny.
So I love cities where you get the extremes of each season, whereas like in LA we're kind of fucked. Like we just get sun all the time.
All
So
the
like you
time.
can't complain about
Poor
that.
us.
But
Yeah,
like
Port Boo.
being from the Northwest, like I know you guys are. I know you're from Minnesota, so
Yeah.
you got kind of got that. But Brayden over here has just been Mr. Sun
just
Boy.
been
his entire
sun
life.
all the time.
Look how tan he is right
I
now,
know.
too. It's unreal.
I'm jealous. all the time.
We're tan boys right now. I want to give me a 15-second spark note, maybe 30-second spark note of like, you pick up a camera, how old are you? And then get me to college really quickly.
All right. Elevator pitch.
Yep.
Introduction.
That's what I'm looking for.
I
'Cause
got
there's a lot of
gifted my
important
first
stuff.
film camera by my grandma when I was in like middle school or late elementary school.
Started in film.
Started in film, so I started getting my shit developed at Costco. Loved
That's
it. Would
sick.
shoot like my cousin's baseball games and just flowers and random shit I'd see on the road. So love for photography and visuals started pretty early. And then in high school, I took a graphic design class, fell in love with the whole process of creating digital art and kind of seeing that come to life in the world. Started doing the designs for all my like high school's football games and t-shirts and stuff. So just that feeling I got of like seeing work that I made on a little computer, like on a screen, out printed in the world, like
Right.
all my friends wearing it, like that is what really like fueled me to like be like, oh shit, like this is what I want to do.
Hell yeah.
And so transfer over to not transfer, but fast forward over to University of Oregon. I didn't know where I wanted to go to school. I didn't know if I wanted to go to school. It's like creative fields, you don't necessarily need to go to school.
Totally.
Do you think that?
talk about
do you
that.
think that it was worth it?
Oh yeah, because I met you.
Yeah, yeah.
obviously.
That's how I feel. It's like, it's worth it because of the people you met, not because of the shit you learned.
Yeah,
I learned a lot, but not from the school. It's from the experience I had while I was in school.
Absolutely.
definitely, totally agree.
School taught me how to think in a different way, but it didn't teach me feasible like actual techniques and styles. I had to learn that all on my own.
Totally.
I feel like creatives, we kind of
Yeah.
have to learn that
Totally.
by just doing it.
Right.
And
I
those
totally
classes
agree
aren't
with you.
really going to
And
give
I feel like
to
that style's like within you almost. You have to like unleash it.
Gotta
You can't-
find
you
it.
can't, teacher can't do that for you.
No, and no one's gonna be able to teach you a creative style. You gotta find.
you gotta
that.
find your voice, man.
you. So we cut away from the 30-second intro.
Yeah.
But
No, keep
back,
going.
No, keep
come
going.
back to it.
Keep going.
We met in college. So my time in college was really to figure out whether I wanted to work in advertising, music, or sports, or a combo of there or whatever. So I worked at GODUCKS because I love sports and photographed and did all that stuff. So I was mainly a photographer and designer there.
Henry was one of the most
Henry's killing
talented
it.
photographers I've ever seen.
You guys
shoot a
the same
sports
year?
game. Yeah,
We
we
were
were
the
the
same.
nice,
same
nice,
year.
nice.
So I was one of the first of the three to be hired because it was a new internship program. And then Brayden came on later that year and was the first video guy that they hired. So we were like the first.
We were still
of the
shake and
little-
bake guys. It was
Yeah,
like it was
so-
tiny, dude. There was like there was literally three of us running the University of Oregon's Instagram account.
That's
Yeah, so we
sick,
had some
dude.
good mentors, but like it was new. So it was like,
yeah, it was
we were
brand new.
always learning.
This whole idea of like content was not a thing.
Right.
Like it was just
Instagram stories weren't a thing.
Yeah,
That's
That is
crazy. That's so funny to
We
think about.
spent months planning our first Instagram story. Like it was a huge production and a huge deal.
So
Fast
funny.
forward to
I
now,
totally
what,
forgot
like
about
5 years later, and it's just like
they're
doesn't
just ripping them every day.
every day.
Dude, and you guys you couldn't have just tripped Justin Herbert in that Rose Bowl. You just couldn't have done it. Just when they were driving and Wisconsin was up 10 like the whole
Yeah,
game.
no.
God, that was frustrating.
Shout
but
out to Herbert, man.
That's
He's
sick.
killing it.
Yeah,
He's
dude, he is.
killing it.
I like him in the NFL. I hated him as a Duck. Really pissed me off.
It's okay.
Okay, so then you go from the University of Oregon and you decide to move to LA right
So
away.
up until my
or-
senior year, I still didn't know whether I wanted to work in
Right.
sports, music, or advertising. Always did music work, always did sports work, always did advertising work. I would do, going into my senior year, I did a tour with Zoo. So that was my first full like kind of tour.
That's sick. In college?
in right before college. Yeah.
Oh, right before college?
So right before the senior year.
right.
So I had to leave the tour early because I had to come back to school.
That's sick though.
How hard was that decision to make to finish out school?
Zoo's been my favorite artist since
Right.
I first heard his first song, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So it was a crazy story to kind of get to that, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, no, it was a tough decision to like leave my favorite artist and working for him after I worked so hard to get there, and then just have to go back to school and classes that I was like, I don't know if I really like care about this or want to do this.
It's also cool though, because when you're in college and you're doing something outside of college, like you kind of just feel sick, dude. Because you're like, yeah, I'm like, here I am in accounting 104 or whatever, but like I was just on tour with Zoo.
Yeah,
you know, it's like the fucking accounting rules, accrual and shit, but doesn't matter.
Like
anymore.
Coming back to GODUCKS, like that was another main thing. It's like that experience of like getting to work on the field.
Fun.
That makes sense.
Having that exclusive access was just
we could just do whatever we wanted.
And hardly anybody gets that. Like, we were so incredibly
and I want to say that it's like it's different nowadays. I'm assuming there's a lot more like, dude, rules. It was the wild west of social media content.
So you could just do whatever.
Also, I mean, just photography and content creation in general was just starting to like boom when we were getting out of high school. So like it was like I was one of the only kids in my high school who was like take photos for the art and like photography.
Totally.
There was journalism class, obviously that's always like been a part of school and yearbook and all those kind of things. But I was the first one who kind of like, at least in my school, who did it to kind of push the artistic side of things.
Like let's get creative
with it, you know? So that was fun, but yeah, I definitely came back for the sports and for the college experience my senior year.
And then you decided to move to LA right after that?
So yeah, I always knew I wanted to be in LA over New York because I just like the environment here. I feel like in Portland and in the Northwest, like those cities have a cap to them. And like, there's only so much you can kind of do. And I mean, you can work remote and still pop off and do whatever.
Right.
But like here, that feels like there's no limit to like how much you can achieve and what you can do.
Are we allowed to talk about this? You had an offer from one of the most prestigious ad agencies in the whole country.
Yeah. So we did our New York trip. Yeah. And I got an offer from Wyden and Kennedy.
Oh, that's a big one.
That was a big one. And
NYC.
That's it. That's a big offer.
It's a big offer. So I was like, oh my God, like that's huge. But I just knew in my heart it wasn't meant for me.
Good for you, bro.
That's sick.
Yeah, it wasn't tough, but it was definitely something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So it definitely solidified the thought, like, okay,
that
offer really made me like have to choose, like, music's where my passion is. That's where I'm gonna go. That's what I'm gonna do.
And it's also like, you know, that it's almost like you have less risk because if you needed to, you could always probably take a job similar to that.
Those offers don't come often.
Yeah,
So,
I mean that's a big one.
But just knowing that that's out there and that's feasible, it's something I can achieve. Yeah, that was definitely nice to kind of think of to fall back on. But I knew that like if I really wanted to do what made me happy, it was going to be coming down to LA and working in music.
It's so important to know that at such a like young age too.
And I'm lucky that I got to know that. Like, not everybody gets to know that. And
it took you till you were a senior. That's interesting.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know, like I think that a lot of these homies get into the creative field and they're like, I gotta know what I want to do at 18. I gotta like know exactly what I want to do.
So true.
And you're spinning, image of like you figure it out as you go, and you found your passion, and it cross-sectioned with where you could make money, and you're like, this is awesome.
Well, two things. I was a similar boat. I was so stressed.
I don't know when you guys like discovered your love for it.
I was so stressed about. I knew I was obsessed with making videos, but like I had a marketing degree. Both my brothers had marketing degrees. They had good like business jobs, right? Senior year, I actually had an offer as a marketer person, like entry-level marketing with Google. And I remember I got that email and I responded and I just said like, Thomas, I really appreciate the offer. I'm going to move to LA and try to direct films, period. And I screenshot it because hopefully one day, I'm not there yet. Yeah. I'm not even close. But one day.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
That's how
and dude, I really kind of think that he kind of wanted me more after that because he was like, really? Let's talk about this.
Do you believe in manifestation? Like you just kind of nodded.
That's something I want to talk about and get your guys' thoughts on that. The law of attraction is a huge aspect of my life. And just like that's how I feel like I've brought in all the clients and all the people that I've wanted to work with into my life. It's like I listen to their music all the time. I think about working with them all the time, and then those opportunities just come out of nowhere through the people I meet.
Chase and I believe the same thing.
How would you say you attracted? Because I really want to get into this. How do you attract like the tour with Zoo? Because that's like a big really entry level.
This is a really fun story. So actually, my freshman year of college, I went to Coachella for my 18th birthday or 19th birthday. Yeah, because I was a freshman. Go to Coachella, see Zoo perform for the first time. Had never heard his music before.
Oh, cool.
I'd heard Faded probably.
Sure.
Like
on the periphery
or whatever. And I was like, oh, that song's sick. But I didn't dive into who he was as an artist. And then I saw his set because I was at Coachella and I was like, oh my God, this is my new favorite artist too. Who the fuck is Zoo? And that was in the era when he was not showing his face. He was very mysterious, which is kind of his whole shtick, which is really cool, but he's phased out of that now. So it's been cool to see that progression. But I saw him at Coachella. he became my favorite artist immediately, and dove into finding and listening to all his music, and found the label that he was under, which is Mind of a Genius Records, and basically became a big fan of just the label itself because they curated all these amazing artists like They and Klangstoff, and another one of my favorite artists, Carnival Blues, who's very underrated, who I'll talk about later. But found their label and just became a fan of theirs. 2 years later, went to a festival here in LA, skipped school for a couple days to come out to the festival. School, and I wore the merch of the label. So not
Power
many people.
move.
Yeah. So I wore the merch of the label to this festival out here in LA. And me and my friend Mikey were out here just like running around the festival, go to the bathroom. Mikey's taking longer. I go outside, and then I see these other group of like 3 people with the jacket that I'm wearing. It's a Mind of a Genius Music Group jacket. I'm like, oh, nobody else knows about this label. Like, they must work at it. So I go up to him. I'm like, introduce myself, say, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm Henry. I'm working as a photographer, anything creative design. If like I can ever help with anything, just let me know. Like, big fan of the label. Thank you guys for what you do. And they're like, yeah, for sure. And I'm not thinking anything of it. Like, yeah, they'll never let me like come shoot a thing or whatever. But fast forward to the summer, they're like, hey, do you want to come shoot They for the BET Awards? I was like, oh my God, yes, I'd love to.
That's crazy.
Obviously I did it for free because like in those early steps, like I always would offer to do work for free because I feel like that's a great way to get your foot in the door and just kind of prove that like you're worth what you're getting into. And then it shows that you appreciate them as well.
Right.
So that is how I got my foot in the door with a guy named Brando, who was their creative director. And then from there, it just kind of progressed to shooting more stuff. And then fast forward to the summer before my senior year, they hired me as an intern, just as a kind of creative stuff. So I do social media graphics, all that little kind of day-to-day content stuff. And then Zoo asked me to go on tour because he liked my work.
That's sick, dude. So then on tour with Zoo, were you like photographing? You were doing like design like for like the posters,
yeah, so
etc.?
He had a creative director on tour with him who was also doing photography. But I just kind of filled in that extra little gap so you can get extra coverage. So photo, video, anything here and there. And then,
Dude, junior year of college, like that's so sick that you're doing it in college.
Insane.
I would feel like so proud of myself.
It was dope.
If I was in college, oh God.
And the content that you were making wasn't like someone that was in college. If I can just like get Gas Henry up for a second, it was the photos were so specific and very like, if you saw him, you're like, this is different. It was noticeably like different stuff than what you were seeing on everyone else's feed. It was very stylistic, and it was like the XX took that.
It's also sick because
it's
also sick because I'm kind of coming to this interview blind, but I know for a fact now that I've seen like probably your work because I followed Zoo forever, dude.
Yeah,
like dude,
he's
so
best.
good. He's so good.
Yeah,
I use that Cola song, his remix of Cola. I work out to that every time I work out. I play that right away. Get me in the zone, dude. I love Zoo.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's like. Everyone loves him. There's like I've hardly found any haters of him. His music is so unique and different. These days it's becoming a little bit heavier and not as melodic as the stuff that I fell in love with. But him as an artist, he's such a genius when it comes to sound and everything he does is just so good.
Were you in a lot of those studio sessions? Did you get to see him work?
I would work at the studio, but he would kind of have. I also one thing that. About me with artists is I always try to be the fly on the wall.
Smart.
Yep.
Not be pressing anybody, when I first meet them, just so they get comfortable with me. Because I feel like artists get so many people around them trying to like, yo, let me shoot for you. Let me do this for you. Like, I just want to work with you. And they're like, it's overwhelming and it's just not a good look.
Yeah.
So if there's one piece of advice for anybody who's like trying to work in music and trying to like get your foot in the door with an artist who you can be around like kind of frequently, don't push too much. Become a familiar face before you kind of approach them, and just like just like that way they're comfortable with you, they know you're around, and then you can kind of work your way in.
You gotta be like respectful, because I'm sure like a lot of people that come up to him like really forward. Yeah, that sucks.
Let me know. Let me do this for you. Let me do that.
Right.
Yeah. Totally. So I always try to do the workaround from the artist. I find the manager, I find the PR person, I find the agent. Just hit them up all the time. Yeah. They like don't get that as much, but
they're not getting
the artist. Give them their respect and their time and their privacy, and then the moment will happen when it's right.
That's sick, dude.
I love that.
And yeah, dude, like the manifestation, like that you want to do that. Like it's so important.
Do you write it down at all? Do you have like a book or a whiteboard? I remember you.
I do vision boards once a year. So I write it down. I don't write it down all the time, but when I have big goals, I write it down.
Yeah.
I like it.
More so like 5-year type plans. I'll be like, I want to write this down because 5 years from now, I want to look back and say, I did that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Do you do like I ams, like I am touring with Zoo, like presents?
So I did a training with a guy named Jack Canfield, he's a big promoter of the Law of Attraction, and he was in The Secret, the book.
You're
familiar with that?
Yeah.
So I did a week-long training with him and like 100 other people out in Arizona, and it was really eye-opening experience, but basically just like living in gratitude every day and being in that present moment of being like appreciative of everything that comes your way. I've found that I can do that in my head in my own way. I don't necessarily verbalize it, which is something he teaches to do, but I just don't feel comfortable doing that, which is part of the barrier that he tries to teach you to get out of, is just like verbalizing it and putting it out into the world in an audible, like physical way. But I'm not that type of person. So
do you talk about it, or I just write it? I don't talk about it.
I write it, and then
I know you journal like
I journal like
you journal like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
What I used to do, I used to be in this thing.
That's a secret to the sauce.
I used to write it down. I am, and I'd explain, like, say I wanted a new car. I'm driving a new Jeep Wrangler 2-door. I am enjoying the gas mileage. You write every aspect.
Every aspect.
And then I say it out loud 100 times.
No way.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Wow.
I haven't done that in a while, but I used to do that a lot. But you know the craziest thing, and I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. I was debating telling you about this, but in like early on in life, like 9th grade probably. Okay. I was pretty good at Photoshop already, and this is when Facebook relationships were a big deal. If I really wanted to date a girl in class, dude, here's what I would do. I would take their Facebook profile picture and I would Photoshop my wall to say in a relationship with the person. I knew the fonts and everything, and so like my wall, and I'd print it off and put it under my bed. So it would say like I am dating whoever.
What if the girl came over and saw that?
Well, it was like he was hidden under my bed, bro. And dude, I did it 3 times. Worked every fucking time. It's real embarrassing. I know
that's a bit much. I don't know.
Yo, you're wild for that, but yeah,
I worked. I mean,
I Photoshop hard with the vision boards. I always like Photoshop like actual scenes, and dude, I swear to God, like vision boards are crazy motherfucking things. Dude.
No, they are weird.
Oh, I love it.
Our new intern, guess who was on his vision board? The 505 pod.
That's Keon right there. Keon, say what's up.
What's good, guys?
Yeah, Keon we have a new intern now that's working with the 505 pod, and he's helping with our some really fun shit.
And he's gonna learn a lot of sports stuff from you, right?
He's gonna learn the sports stuff. It's gonna be great.
Sick. But on the vision board,
talk to me.
No, on his vision board was the 505 podcast, and now he's here. That's crazy.
That's pretty wild,
dude. I'm just talking.
Vision boards are such an interesting thing. I'm so.
How often do you guys do them?
Not often enough. I probably make a new one like every 2 years, I would say.
And I would say the same.
I like to try a year, but like
a year would be sweet. I usually get Chloe to help me with mine because she's much
good at that
quicker
kind
in
of
the
stuff.
Canvas situation.
She's real good at that kind of stuff.
I'm just like I make videos, and that's like where my brain's thinking.
Do you guys do digital or do you do like actual print?
I printed it. I printed. I like usually print stuff out and then I tape it onto like a big poster board.
I like that.
I've had phases where I like making like my desktop background, the actual vision board, so I see it every day.
I like that
because part of my problem was with the physical ones. I didn't always want to have it around.
It's kind of embarrassing
with kind of like the art and stuff I have in my room. So I feel like seeing it on a digital, on my phone screen or my desktop background. Like,
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too.
That's a great fucking idea.
And that way it's a lot. I mean, because sitting down and like cutting out magazine clips and doing all those little things and making these little designs and printing them out and taping them and gluing them, like it's fun. And it's definitely part of the process. But in this day and age, everyone's so busy. Everyone has such a short attention span. Like, just make it in Photoshop or on Canva, and then just make it your desktop background. Yeah, you see it every day, and it still gets that same effect.
Would you recommend people doing something like the camp that you went to? Did you find it was really helpful for you?
I found that you kind of need to already know more about that world and be in it before you can do that.
It might be weird for somebody
because you have to be open to it, and you have to kind of be willing and accepting of it at first, and just be knowledgeable about it. Because if you go into that blind,
it'd be probably pretty wild.
Out.
Yeah, you'd be like, what?
It blows my mind. Some people are just open and some people are not to that kind of stuff, and that's fine either way. Like, I'm from a small town in Minnesota, and I grew up going to things like that. We'd fly out to LA for a thing called Insight, which was basically like we learned stuff like that. You learn about like universal programming. You write everything down. You do learn about like vision boards, etc. And then I remember coming home, like talking to my friends, like in between fucking hockey periods. They're like, oh, the second period's over. Let me talk to my friends about universal programming, and they were not about it, dude. They did not understand it at all.
See, that I find it tough though, because when when you do find things out like that, or you have huge goals that you're trying to accomplish, and you try to talk to people that aren't just like trying to do said things, they either take it as you're trying to brag to them, which is weird, and which I found like all throughout college was like an interesting thing, because they'd be like, oh, I want to do this and this, like what, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just found that you got to talk to the right people.
A lot of people live day to day and they don't really look ahead as much. And
totally. I think you have to talk to the right people about your goals and about what you want to attract, and like all those really important things that, because I mean, dude, it could really throw you out of whack talking to someone, because it has done that to me. Talking to someone about it, like, that's stupid. And I like, sometimes I don't do it anymore, but sometimes those words would like hit hard.
Really mess with you.
Yeah. And you're just like, fuck, it just threw me completely out of my rhythm and my zone. Like,
did you have people like obstacles, or people saying like, I don't know if you should do this whole music thing, you should probably get like a normal job, like doing it?
I had really supportive parents.
That's
and,
dope.
They always supported whatever I wanted to do, and as long as I was happy, they were happy.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's
awesome.
great.
I was very lucky to have that. Not everybody has that. And hardly anybody has that.
Right.
Like, there's so much pressure out in the world. I was just lucky that I knew what I wanted to do so young. I got to get ahead of the curve and kind of like be good at it from an early age, because I had practice and I had mentors and people that I kind of got to connect with.
Totally.
But most people don't have the fortune of that time and that ability to kind of get in there early.
100%.
Yeah, dude, that's important.
So Henry, you go tour with Zoo. We come back to school. We graduate. What's going through your mind right then? Are you going like, because I remember our boss at Oregon was like, Henry, like you could get a job at ESPN or some shit or whatever the fuck, right? And I remember you being like, I don't want to do that. I was like, beast, nice. I vividly remember that. I remember it, and I was like, that's badass. Like Henry's gonna try and do something different, and like I know he'll succeed at it. So now tell me, you graduate. We're up at Oregon. How long before you just sent it down to LA?
2 weeks after graduation, I just booked it down here. I had a job lined up with Mind of a Genius Records, which is the Zoo's record label. So I was the branding director. I was immediately hired when I came down here because I knew I was going to have that set up. Sick. Which was fortunate of me to have. Like, some people come down here and have to figure that stuff out, but I knew I kind of wanted to have that figured out before. So I had that opportunity, thankfully. Did that for about a year, and then COVID hit. And then everything, obviously, for everybody kind of just stopped.
During COVID, what exactly were you doing? Because obviously festivals and artists, everything ceased to exist. It was just like taken out from under us.
Yeah.
What were you?
I mean, concerts are such a huge,
right.
People like need that in their life, and that's just taken away from everyone.
What were you doing during that time to stay sane?
Good question.
That's a great question.
You playing Call of Duty?
Warzone.
Oh yeah,
we were playing Warzone.
Everyone was
I spent more time in Verdansk than I did in the real world. That was some of the most
fun moments of my life.
We talked about this, dude.
Just those nights with all the boys.
Till like 4, 5, 6 a.m. just running it up.
Yeah. I remember my brother and I, we'd sit next to each other. So my brother and I both went home. We'd sit next to each other, dual setups on this couch in our mom's basement. We had 2 tiny little TVs that we'd stare at. When we got our first win, I don't know if I've ever been more happy in my entire life.
I have all the videos saved on my phone at like midnight. Like,
you were posting every one of them.
I was posting every one of them. All those steps.
Oh my God.
I feel like Simmons was a rage quitter too.
No, dude. Simmons was the guy that would sit in the corner with the goddamn riot shield, and I was like, dude, I hate to watch this. I would literally tell him, I go, this sucks, dude. And
Simmons is a riot shield.
The games are a half hour long, bro. And I was like, dude, and he would win.
He was camper
all the time with the riot shield. Yes, dude. He would wait till the very end and then just pop out and just like, what's that?
That is so good.
No, Warzone kept a lot of people sane.
100%. It brought back some friendships. It made, dude, it was so nostalgic.
It brought you back to your younger days.
I was about to say,
it really did, bro.
You guys have LAN parties? And
dude. Well, it was good. So I was working on Call of Duty Social. I was editing like all their videos when that came out, dude. And everyone was like, this is the best thing ever, dude. Because they were making so much money and everyone needed it. And like the content was so good. And it was fun because I could edit it all from home because it's just gameplay shit. So like that was really lucky for me. So I stayed, but like being a kind of on the behind the Warzone, like ish a little bit, was so fun because it was pivotal for quarantine.
Crazy,
couldn't have timed it better.
Couldn't have timed it better.
It was incredible. I remember.
Oh, Activision invented COVID.
You heard it here first on 505 podcast.
That's so funny.
Dude, that's not a bad take.
Yeah,
not a bad take.
It was made in the lab
for him.
When COVID's like, so you're playing Warzone and whatnot.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like everybody for like at least 2 or 3 months was just kind of like
not
doing their own
shit.
thing. They were just
watching
hanging
Tiger
out.
King.
I mean, you couldn't
There's
do anything.
nothing you could do. Tiger King,
watching
Pivotal.
The Last Dance.
Yep,
dude.
Last Dance.
Yeah, so luckily I was in a house with like 4 other people, so I wasn't alone and isolated by myself. So I got to we got to hang out. We had game nights. We'd have to do all this fun stuff, and it was just like was fun. It was like it brought people back together, and that brought those relationships closer. So I was just hanging out with them for a couple months because we kind of knew like not much was going to be going on.
Right.
But then I think like summer hit, or like later summer probably, is when things started to kind of like, okay, we're like, we can kind of go out and like we go to a restaurant maybe. I don't know. Like we're still being safe. But that's when virtual performances became a big thing for the industry, because you still can't do concerts, but you can do a virtual performance and you can air it online. You can do it on TV. You can do all that kind of stuff. So the company I worked for, Wasted Potential, which my roommate and friend Chad is the founder of, that was huge for us because we work in stage production, lighting production, stage design, all that kind of stuff. So it really was big for our company to kind of get into that niche of being able to produce and design all those sets and those performances. So that kind of picked up in the summer. And then by like September, I got an offer to work at another label because Mind of a Genius was still kind of just chilling. They didn't really have a lot going on. I'd still do freelance stuff for them on a couple of projects, but I started working with the Heavy Group, which is a sub-label of Republic Records. And that's because I worked with Bazzi and did photos for him.
Sick.
And so I was familiar with them kind of, but they brought me on to kind of do the same branding work.
Heavy Group, that's like Rick Ross, Fat Joe, those kind of guys?
No. Good one, but no.
That guy that sings Somewhere Under the Rainbow.
I had no idea where that was going. I was like, there's no way that Chase knows.
I don't know. We definitely don't have Rick Ross.
That's funny.
Anyone over 300 pounds can sign him.
Yeah, but so I always thought I wanted to work at labels when I first moved out here. And I loved it while I was there, but then it got to a point where I was getting hit up for a bunch of freelance work. And I mean, you guys know how that goes. It's just like, oh, it's so enticing to just have your own schedule, do your own things, and just like get any work that comes your way. And so the freelance work got to be too much, and I couldn't balance the work-life balance of having a day job and doing the freelance. So I decided to quit the day job at the label and just do full freelance. And it's almost been a full year now of doing that.
Congrats, bro.
So
how have you, we talked about this at softball. How have you liked the freelance as opposed to
full-time freelance?
It's a grind. I mean, you guys can attest to it. It's a full-time grind, especially living out here.
Do like the networking outreach, because I was full-time freelance for a while and I got stressed out because I was doing more emailing than I was making videos, and I hated that. Does that bog you down at all, or are you just busy enough where
that the thing that was lucky for me is that I went freelance right at the time where everything was starting to happen again. Concerts were slowly starting to like be talked about, and tours were slowly starting to be talked about. New artists were coming out of quarantine because they were sitting at home for 6 months and starting to make music, and new people needed branding, new people needed photos. And so I hit it at the time where everybody needed work. And so I was like, all right, well, I got all this work. I need to do it. I'm going to grind. I'm going to do it all. And that's how the job with Jack came around. That's how the job with a couple other artists came around. I'd still do passion projects here and there, and then I'd do work for labels, but more on the freelance side, which actually ended up paying me more than if I was with the label.
Yeah,
so
usually does.
Usually does. That's
how do you get connected with your work? Like,
usually it's just word of mouth for me, which is really
sick. That's the most powerful
with the
way.
most power. Yeah, it's the best. It's
and
the best.
I've hardly had to chase after work. The thing I do to keep myself sane and like happy as a creative is I do passion projects for artists that I love. And it's not that they're hiring me. I just make it and I send it to their management. And if they use it, that's great. If not, it was a fun project for me to work on, and it keeps me kind of sane in that creative field.
Especially when you're not like taking other fucking people's feedback. You actually like make something that's your own. That's so important.
Yeah. So that's something else we were talking about is I've reached almost a year as being fully freelance, and things are starting to like slow down a little bit because everyone's kind of getting off tours right now. There's usually like there's fall winter tours, there's a gap in like February, March, and then end of March is when festival season hits. And festival season runs all of summer.
Right.
And then you're back into fall winter tours. So right now it's kind of that gap and that like
I never put that together.
Low down time.
I had no idea. He was
I go to like 15 concerts a year and I never put that together.
Me neither.
Yeah, so people will still tour in the summer, but they'll have to work in their like festival lineups in that kind of tour. Depends how big the tour is and how many cities. But yeah, so right now it's kind of that like gap time. And so it's slower than it was a year ago. for me. And so it's literally just been me in my room. Like I'll wake up, walk 3 feet to my desk, and I'll just work by myself all day. And yeah, I get to like have my own schedule and have my own hours, but there's nobody giving me feedback on stuff. There's nobody kind of pushing me to try something new. Like I still try to do that, but there's only so much you can like push yourself to do, and you're not always going to do it.
Does that feel like isolating at all?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'm not the type, I don't drink coffee, like caffeine, not like you guys drinking your Monsters.
Well, I don't drink Monster. Don't get me wrong.
Looking at this guy over here.
I have like 3/4 of a cup. Okay,
I don't even know my Monsters. Where are they at?
You think I touched them, dude?
Dude, they're not in the cabinets.
I bet you know who it was. It was the little blonde girl that moves everything, dude. Every time she comes, I can't find shit when she leaves.
She moved all the stuff.
She moved everything.
Unbelievable.
Anyways. Yeah. So,
coffee doesn't do anything for me as it does for you. Well,
I just like the taste.
Oh, you like the taste of Monster? That's why you drink one every day?
I thought it was a caffeine thing.
I thought it was a psycho thing.
I think it is a caffeine thing for sure, but like now I'm just like, it's part of the day. I got to do the crack, one hand crack.
Dude, did you see how good
you have to do the crack.
Did you see how good my crack was on that bubble on that?
It was
LaCroix?
pretty good today, right here.
I like when I just can walk and I'm like, he taught me it, dude, and now I'm obsessed with it. I've never opened a can.
It's a fun party trick if you have like a little can.
And you
drink.
just feel like
oh, what's up? And you're talking to someone, and they're like, "Did you just fucking?
Did you open a can while you were fingering me? What?
Whoa!
What?
I didn't say anything.
Anyways, but
I don't like going to coffee shops.
Yeah.
I don't like being around other people while I work.
I don't either. I like silence.
I like music.
Oh, you're like, but
I'm a big
mean,
house.
Oh, but you can do that.
We can't do that.
I wish I could do that. I would love to do that. Oh my god.
So you like to work? Brayden likes to work in the dark in his room.
No, but I've changed that though because Chloe showed me this fucking study and it said that your circadian rhythm gets all thrown out of whack if you work in darkness, I always work in darkness.
And that's why probably you can't sleep.
Yep,
at night,
I know.
bro.
And so I'm an insomniac. So I've recently done some things to like change these habits, and now the blinds are open during the day. Me and Keon were working in the daylight today, and now I'm feeling a little tired.
Nice.
Because it's 7:30 and the sun's down.
Dude, he's gonna be just asleep all the time now.
No,
I like that.
I think that's a huge thing for creatives to kind of find out is like how their workflow works best for them.
Totally.
Because you know when you're in the zone.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of get those moments together and be like, all right, what was I doing? Where was I? What was I listening to? What was the vibe of what was going on?
Dude, that's so important.
And you can recreate that all the time.
You're so right.
Oh, it's gonna optimize everything for you to make that whole work experience so much better.
I'm like an 8 to noon and then like a 6 to 11. The middle of it, when it's nice out, I need to go to the beach. I want to go on a hike. Like, I do not have desire to work.
I have
Are you a night guy at all?
But if it's dark,
am I a night guy?
We call them sketch boy hours. Are you a sketch boy hours kind of guy?
It depends on the project.
Sketch boy hours start at 10 and they go to like 2 or 3.
yeah.
For my passion projects, I'm a 10 to 3 a.m.er.
So a sketch boy guy.
If you're really into it.
If I'm really into it,
couldn't agree
I'm
more.
grinding it out until I finish that damn thing.
Yeah.
Or get hella close to it.
Yeah.
But day-to-day work and stuff that I'm like always kind of working on, it's more so like the 10 to 3. And then from that like 4 to 5, I'm working out, I'm eating, I'm kind of being outside and getting moving a little bit. Yeah.
Nice.
So important, dude.
Yeah.
But
I
from
agree.
that 10 to 3, I'm
I love that.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I love
trying to figure it out still. I think I'm a sketch boy hour kind of guy.
You are. You just like to work at night. And
Even in
that's
college
fine,
you were.
dude.
I know, dude. I know. I just like something about being up when no one else is awake.
It's kind of sick.
And if I go outside to the balcony, there's no cars. It's just like silent. And dude, sometimes kind of sketch. I'll just walk around the block. I know I shouldn't do that at like midnight.
You're fine.
I know. I'm a big guy.
We live in Brentwood, basically.
Yeah.
so
So
me in Hollywood, that's not really.
So I like to walk around the block, and I just like to just listen to nothing. Just like just like sit and just look at. I don't know. It's weird. It like helps me calm down.
You know the people that say like they like to be when no one's up when they get up at like 4:30 in the morning.
I do the
Hey, fuck that, dude.
That's what we were talking about the other. I thought Brayden was one of those guys.
Don't do that.
You guys are go-getters.
Bro, this is funny. I said Henry the pod time. I go, so we'll probably rip it at like 7:38, and he goes, AM ? I go, who do you think we are, Henry?
Never do.
I'm getting up at 8:59.
I start at 9. I get up at 8:59.
9's the perfect time to wake up.
It's
the perfect time.
It's the best time.
You should be up before 10.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
perfect.
I think so too.
Because if you're sleeping in past 10, it's just you're wasting the day.
Yeah.
I mean, as Sum 41 says, morning doesn't start till 2, which I really like that.
Yeah.
But speaking, dude, so I had to get up 6 days in a row before 6 a.m. for just shoots, just 6 days shoots in a row. Actually, I kind of want to talk about this, dude. I ripped I had to shoot. I was at the Genesis Invitational, which was cool. I was making content for Genesis just
good
like throughout
weather.
the weekend. Really good weather, beautiful. Okay, the Riviera Country Club, $250K initiation fee. Wow. That is so much money, dude.
That's crazy.
Even if you're a multimillionaire, you still think about it. Pretty hard.
For sure.
But anyway, so I have to, Snappy Gilmore, the guy that shoots the club with one arm. So I was with him like all week, which was hilarious. He's a really cool guy. Yeah. But my big thing, I had to make this big content piece with him, and I mic him up, right? So I get him mic'd up. This is so funny. Dude, it was so bad. I get him mic'd up, and this is like the big thing. There's the creative director for Genesis. There's the client on Genesis' side. Everyone's like behind me, basically. I have our new C70, sick camera. Beast camera. But I mic him up. I'm listening to the headphones. It sounds awesome. And all of a sudden, I don't hear anything. I'm like, oh, like I must like hit a button, or maybe I put it into slow motion because it doesn't record audio. And then I look in the thing. Uh-oh, it's dead. It's just dead. And we are on hole 14, which is not close to the clubhouse at all, which is where I'm stationed. So I'm like, fuck me. So and they're like, we need to record the intro right now. So I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm panicking. I'm fucking panicking. I literally just do scratch audio that sounds like shit, dude. There's a golf tournament going on. It's windy. You can't hear anything you say. And I'm like, Snappy, you got to really project, man. You got to really talk loud. And he's quiet by nature, which is fine. Yeah. But not when you have shit mic. So he's like yelling into my microphone, and I'm like I'm like closer than who I am with Brayden right now. Like I am right next to his face, can't hear anything. We start shooting B-roll, and I'll do a little plug because I love this company. The Genesis GV60 electric car can reverse charge, and I overhear a lady talking about it, and she's like, you can charge an iPhone with this car, you can charge a laptop like out of the port, and I'm like, oh. Laptop's USB-C, that's what this microphone thing is, like the receiver. So I was like, you have like one of those laptop charging, like I just want to test this out or whatever. She's like, yeah, we do. And I was like, no way. So I put my fucking lav mic connected to it, shoot the rest of the B-roll. About 30 minutes later, my lav mic's charged, hit the intro again. I'm like, the lighting was way better now. Trust me. Like there was the way the sun worked, like the clouds. So we should probably do the intro again. And then I'd rip that, and it was just great. And it sounded so good. Saved my life. The luckiest thing of all time.
Love that. Plug it up.
That happens all the time. The audio is fucked.
Yeah, it is scary. There's so many things that
that's another monster video
that always go wrong.
We hired a kid for like $1,200 a day and just did not do a
ruined
good job.
Our audio. Just $1,200, just burned it.
This shoot I was just on, Gary was just kept fucking it up, dude. And the director's, Gary, are you ready, Gary? 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes, Gary. And then actually, I was just telling you guys about this, the DP. I was telling him about his little pea shooter monitor. So this guy, okay. On our Komodo, we had a 7-inch, right? And then normal was like 5-inch monitor. Yeah. This guy, it was literally like smaller than half of an iPhone. And I was like, you just don't have the budget for a big thing or whatever.
I feel like the budget, like it's not much of a difference.
It'd be like $50.
Yeah, dude. And get a bigger one. Yeah. But he was pulling focus like a motherfucker. And I was like, how are you doing this? And he's like, oh, dude, brings me back to my Dizzler days. And I was like, what the fuck? Is that a DSLR? Are you kidding me?
So we're talking about that. I love that.
From now on, DSLRs are Dizzlers.
Dizzlers.
100%.
Yeah.
And
fuck a Dizzler.
MP shooters.
I feel like Dizzy doesn't work because it's just not, it doesn't get
it's too close. It's too close to Glizzy, too. Yeah. Which is a hot dog?
Yes.
I never really quite figured that out.
It is a hot dog. Okay. It is a hot dog.
The hottest of dogs.
Henry, so right now, what are you currently working on that you're passionate about?
Yes.
Well, Jack just released his first single after the last album about 3 days ago. So, or about a week ago. Somewhere in between there. So it's a new era for him of music. So right now I'm in the rebranding process of getting a new logo, new branding style created for him, which is really fun.
That's so interesting.
But it's also a lot of pressure because it's such a big time artist, and it's a huge artist. And obviously so many eyes are on him right now. Like I have so much pressure to like create the best thing because I love what I made before, but now it's a new era of music, so it's like you gotta kind of have a new style and a new look.
So that is so fucking. So he kind of changed, like every artist does when the new album, they kind of change direction. So he changes direction, and now you got to think, what is the branding that like aligns with this new direction? That's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
So do you get to hear like the whole album ahead of time? Do you have it? Like, do you listen to it? No, you just have the single to go off of.
I have the single to go. I mean, they'll send me like inspo here and there, and they'll kind of. He likes very like classic, simple American, like vintage kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Because he's not like any other rapper out there.
He's from like Kentucky.
Yeah. He's a hard rapper, but it's like he's still like true to himself, like true to his roots. He's not trying to be something he's not. He's not fake.
That's awesome.
Like a lot of rappers.
He seems like a good guy. Yeah.
So it's been quite a project, and it's been about 2 months I've been working on it. I've probably gone over like. Looked at 90,000 fonts at least.
Holy
and just styles
shit.
And I've compiled probably like 300 logos that I'm like okay with.
Where do you start with creating a logo?
So obviously it's font based and kind of type based when it comes to a name. So tying that to a style, whether it's thick, whether it's thin, whether it's curvy, whether it's sharp, whether it's modern, blah, blah, blah. So I like to refer back to references from like the 90s and other artists who influenced him.
Oh, cool.
So I'll watch all his interviews. I'll just do research on Jack as a person to kind of figure out what his vibe is and where he pulls his inspiration from. And that helps me kind of look for, I want to look for this. I want to look for that.
That's so
this
smart.
Style. But really it's just like scrolling through fonts all day. And my eyes have been killing me the past month.
And you just put in some tunes and you just go.
You on defont.com?
Defont, 1,000 free fonts.
Sure.
I'm pulling stuff from everywhere. Like, I'm looking at the paid fonts too, like and I'm also doing handwritten fonts, but he doesn't really like that style as much.
Cool.
He likes the very clean and simple stuff. So it's not really something that's like an option, but I still mess around and try to get creative with it,
Dude, that's so interesting.
That is nuts.
It's so interesting. I love the idea because we kind of deal with this with video as well, where you don't know like the tone of a video, and then you pick the song or someone sends you like, this is the song you need to use, and all of a sudden the tone totally changes.
Yep.
And so you just listen to the song over and over again, and you're like, this is the feeling I need to like recreate that in a logo. That's so interesting, dude.
Yeah. So that's another huge thing when it like comes to merch design is like being able to listen to that song. So like in those moments, then I'll get to listen to it.
Right.
And Jack's a very private person, so he doesn't really share his music that much. So he doesn't really let that many people in the studio, which is good for him. Like, but so I haven't really had those chances to be in there. But I can kind of get a feeling of where the new stuff's going, and especially being on tour with him, like just kind of get a vibe of how things are going to project and change in the next coming year.
That's so
it's been a fun project to work on, but it's a lot of pressure and I'm still working on it. So
dude, I bet.
And this has been 2 months now.
2 months of fully kind of like focusing on that.
When do you anticipate you'll be done with it?
That's the thing. Like I haven't found the one. I'm waiting.
I'm
waiting until I know I found the one that's like, this is the one you should go with. It's all his decision. I have like 300 options right now.
Right.
But like,
is it hard to pare him down?
It's hard.
I bet, dude.
Yeah.
And you pare him down to like what, like 5, and then you send it over?
Usually.
Yeah.
I'll still give him all the options, but I'll say these are the ones that are my top 5. I think you should kind of choose something in this realm because I think this matches, but it's ultimately his decision, and it's ultimately their kind of choice,
Dude, going back to what you said about how you want to watch his interviews, you want to understand him kind of as a person, and you wish, do you feel like that with, like, do you feel like you like need to understand like basketball and LeBron and like the points? Because like personally, I tell clients this, I need to drive the car before I shoot it. I always do. Every time. Every time I'm like, let me feel what this car feels like to drive, because it feels different. Like if it's got a lot of fucking push, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a little more aggressive. I need to shoot a little differently.
And obviously clients can give you a narrative of what they want to push, but like especially when it comes to you being a creative and like showcasing that ability of that product, it's like you want to kind of know how to really experience it and show it.
Fucking feel it.
With sports, it's interesting because it's like, the season almost tells the narrative of what's happening and what, right? So like the guy, if hypothetical Bron was having like the most insane season of all time, which he low key kind of is still right now. Like it's still
wild. Did you see that step back to win the All-Star game?
Unbelievable. So like then that becomes like the narrative of like, yo, I'm shooting. A lot of my B-roll is him or whatever. Or like when they call up a new guy and it's like, oh, this guy was in the G League and like hasn't been in the NBA and then goes off. It's like, oh, you should have covered him, because you need to know that story is like a thing in the back of your mind. You need to have like that idea that this said thing could happen. And like you have to like play these out in your head and be like, okay, I'm going to focus a lot of my B-roll on him, because then when he goes off, we need to have this for tomorrow to have that all ready. You know what I mean? So the season kind of like tells its own story. And I feel like I'm almost like a fly on the wall with athletics. I'm just like trying not to get in their way, but trying to get the best stuff possible I can get,
because the intimate moments are what really
exactly.
Like,
so I'm trying to like
pieces apart.
And I think that they know the three of us that are always around. They're not like weird about us being there with cameras in their faces. But I'm also like never. Like if I was to get a shot of LeBron, I'm in his face for half a second and I'm gone.
And you gone.
Because like he doesn't need me there, and it's his job. His job is to win. My job is to just make him look really cool and capture all of that. So,
but then there's also storylines you can create when you're doing something a little more creative with a project and like diving into like his history. And
definitely, and that's where I think that's where I think the research thing comes along. But for like game coverage, I think it's more like you're learning or you're adapting on the fly with what they're giving you and what's actually happening in the season/game.
Right.
It's kind of interesting.
That's actually, and I feel like you're great at like weaving a story into sports, and I feel like that's so important. I mean, like the F1 like Drive to Survive really like showed like if you can weave a narrative in any sport, like fucking people will start following the sport.
That is crazy.
It's so
100%.
important,
Yeah,
dude.
it's wild.
So yeah, I feel like that's great, and it's same with music. Just the more you like know people better, the more you're gonna like it. And if you can tell that story, you know,
the more authentic you can make your work to the person you're making it about,
right,
the more people are going to enjoy it.
Do you have a favorite? I know you do so many things. Do you have a favorite part? Is it photography? Is it making these logos? Is it branding? Like, what has it changed since you were in college?
It's really just general branding, which kind of encompasses graphic design and just imagery in general, and all that merch design. So kind of encompassing all three of those kind of genres into one. So building a logo that matches the way the photos look in that style and matching the merchandise to that kind of thing. And my greatest award is seeing it out in the world and seeing people enjoy it.
Could you give me some advice to a younger creative that could be listening to this? It's like, I'm a little lost and I don't know exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to try it. Try
I love
everything.
that.
Yeah, that's really all it is. Is just I've got lucky and I got gifted a camera. And I didn't know I wanted the camera, but I got gifted one, and I was like, oh, let me go see what this thing's about. And I really enjoyed taking pictures with it.
So you just
that just led me into the path of, oh, I want to be creative and I want to work on visual stuff. Oh, let me try graphic design because that could be fun. And I wouldn't have probably done graphic design if I hadn't gotten into photography. That's
it's crazy, man.
So you just try it out.
I love it.
Also, when you're starting out, like, doesn't matter what equipment you have. Obviously, if you're shooting it with a Red, if you're shooting with a Hardy Alexa, like, you're gonna create good stuff. But like, you can get creative these days and use a shitty little film camera and create some really cool stuff.
It's all behind.
Try to be different.
It's all the creative. Yeah,
100%.
Good creative.
Where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me at the XX guy on every social media platform pretty much.
There it is.
Yeah, henryammann.com. Plug me up, man.
Bang.
Hell yeah, dude.
Henry, thank you so much for coming on the pod. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, please take a screenshot, tag Chase, tag the XX guy, tag B Figgy, so we can show some love to you in the DMs, and we'll see you guys all next time. Peace.